But I undersold him when I said he's cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been.
Joe Scarborough lying like a psychopath on some kind of drug about how smart and how cogent Joe Biden was after his meeting with Joe Biden at the White House, where he's sucking up and giving a tongue bath to the Democrat Party at every possible turn. Joe Scarborough, a former Republican member of Congress, very comfortable lying. Very, very comfortable lying. Sitting there with his semi-inflatable flotation device of a third wife, Mika. On a very good Wednesday, too. Welcome back once again. We remain at 888-630-9625. Joe Scarborough, MSDNC, now better known as MS-13 DNC, because they're in bed with every bad actor on the planet as representatives of the Democrat Party, which is what they are at MS-13 DNC. Remarkable times we are in. These are truly awful people. We've got more. There's more Scarborough today, and these people, they're psychopaths. They're really, there's something terribly wrong with their brains. Their brains do not function as designed by God. Remarkable stuff. And speaking of Jake Tapper, and Jake Tapper lying to the American people for years and years, and then a guy came to him with a book and said, "Hey, I'm Alex Thompson. I've written a book, and it kind of tells the truth a little bit about Joe Biden's brain, and now we got this whole cancer thing, the prostate cancer, that's, scores 9 out of 10 on this prostate cancer scale, and it's level 4. You got the cancer is so advanced it's metastasized to the bone, and even Zeke Emanuel, the Democrat oncologist, brother of Rahm Emanuel, and he says, oh, yeah, sure, the oncologist, the expert, the world-renowned oncologist, Zeke Emanuel, he said, Joe Biden, he's probably had this prostate cancer for a decade.
Doesn't it take some time for prostate cancer to develop to a point where it would spread to the bones?
Oh, he's had this for many years, maybe even a decade.
Maybe even a decade, says Zeke Emanuel, one of the architects of Obamacare, which did agree. Maybe that's why it got lost. And for 10 years, they missed the president of the United States. He was the vice president. And, then the president of the United States, and like, oh, he's got cancer? Maybe we should have looked at that. Maybe the doctor that follows him everywhere he goes all day and all night for years on end. Maybe the doctor should have known something about it. Maybe he's a drunk or something. His name is O'Connor, right? You got this O'Connor guy? I don't want to stereotype, but you know how that goes. Isn't that amazing? The lie's so big, make the lie so big that no one would dare to not believe it. They modeled it on Gurgle, I think. I think the whole thing is modeled on Gurgle. Just amazing. And here's a funny headline out of the radical left-wing Mediaite. Jake Tapper admits, quote, conservative media was right, end quote, about Biden during frank Megyn Kelly interview. Who is frank Megyn Kelly anyway? Are they wishing that Megyn Kelly would? These people they got a lot of issues. I wouldn't write it that way in the headline. Frank Megyn. Who is frank Megyn Kelly? Megyn Kelly, the wonderful Megyn Kelly. And it was an honest interview. But why would you muddy the waters with frank Megyn Kelly interview? CNN fanker. That's a portmanteau of fake and anchor. He's a fanker. CNN fanker Jake Tapper conceded on Tuesday that conservative media was right about former President Joe Biden declining health. About his declining health, that's his mental health, and that he had the rest of the legacy media needed to engage in a lot of soul searching. What a crock. What a festering boil you are. Honestly, you need to be lanced. That's just imagery that goes back to my high school years, I think. Just amazing stuff. There it is. during an appearance on the Megyn Kelly show, a real truth seeker and truth teller, Megyn Kelly, and she looks better than anybody, too. Jake Tapper was grilled. I love that term, grilled, when you're talking to somebody, by host Megyn Kelly about his own failure to cover signs of Biden's declining health and cognitive acuity during the 2024 presidential election. Now, how is it that I knew all about this, and you knew all about this, and Michael Piercy knew all about this, and Jasmine knew all about this, but Jake Tapper, how am I supposed to know? He's a former Democrat operative. He's a current Democrat operative. He's a former actual Democrat Hill staffer on Capitol Hill. He worked for a Democrat member of the House of Representatives whose ex-husband, also a Democrat member of the House of Representatives, went to the penitentiary for being corrupt. And their son married Chelsea Clinton because it's all a circle fest and a hot tub. And this is the most corrupt city on the planet Earth. Kiev is less corrupt than Washington, D.C., and they're assassinating their political opponents on the sidewalks of Madrid, Spain today. But never mind that, because the New York Times will never mind that. CNN will never mind that. Jake Tapper won't cover that because he's not in the news business. He's in the Democrat Party propaganda business. Now, let's go to, for example, in 2020, you may recall that was an election year and everything. We had 2020 and then 2024. We got all this stuff going on. 2016, Donald Trump, you got Jake Tapper doing the propaganda for the Democrat Party. And Jake Tapper had Laura Trump on, and he wanted to, because Laura Trump had said, gee, it looks like Joe Biden's brain looks like she's a broke.
Every time he comes on stage or they turn to him, I'm like, Joe, can you get it out? Let's get the words out, Joe. You kind of feel bad for him.
Joe Biden, as we all know, has worked to overcome a stutter. How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
A stutter?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline. Okay. That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable.
You are
to
no
watch somebody on stage
that's so amazing.
Interrupt her, cut her off, talk over her.
I think that you were mocking his stutter. Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline.
But Dr. Tapper, the former Democrat Capitol Hill staffer, he is the resident psychiatrist at CNN, where I think they're probably in need of many psychiatrists right now. Cognitive decline. That's in 2020. Who was it? Somebody sent me video yesterday of me on television in 2020, talking about Joe Biden's brain power and missing a step, and he obviously his brain isn't working so well. And that was me on television in 2020. But Jake Tapper, being a propagandist and a professional liar for the Democrat Party and a former Democrat Capitol Hill staffer, he is shutting her down because if you're telling the truth, CNN is there to steamroll you. Jake Tapper is there to shut you down and to shut you up. He can shut you down and shut you up. See how that works? Just amazing. Jake Tapper in 2020.
I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar.
So Jake Tapper endorses medical people that have never met Donald Trump, diagnosing him from afar, and he never shut anybody down on that topic. But when Laura Trump comes on, and it's obvious, it's plain for the world to see, everybody knew it. And our news media is so comfortable lying that they see planes crash into buildings in New York and say, no, there were no planes crashing into buildings in New York. I didn't see. How can you say there were planes crashing into buildings in New York? How can you say that Joe Biden is in cognitive decline when you see the obvious cognitive decline everywhere? Say, what, you think John F. Kennedy was shot in the head while driving through Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas? How can you say that? You're not a medical doctor. You're not a ballistics expert. And this is what Jake Tapper considers to be journalism. And by the way, he's an award-winning journalist because this is what you get awards for when you're a journalist. You get a Lucite block for this kind of stuff. Isn't that amazing? And then he's just angrily shutting down the daughter of the president, who's observing what everyone was observing except for Jake Tapper and all of his fellow travelers who have spread the biggest lie. Joseph Goebbels would be embarrassed to have done for him what Joe Biden has had done for him by our corrupt news media. Just astonishing. So Jake Tapper, he shut it down, and I'm done with you.
It's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel sorry for Joe Biden.
I appreciate it. I'm sure it was from a place of concern. We all believe that. Laura Trump, thank you so much.
Listen to the smugness and the arrogance of being that corrupt, of being that filthy corrupt. You can't be that wrong. You can't be that ignorant. You can only be that corrupt.
Did I hear you correctly say that perhaps he was influenced by Gurgle?
Might have been Gurgle. It could have been Gurgle that he was influenced by. Well, then Megyn Kelly, because Jake Tapper is out there selling somebody else's book now. A book that Jake Tapper, I read yesterday. Jake Tapper didn't write this book, but the actual author came to Jake Tapper and said, hey, I've got a book, but no publishing house will publish it for me. Maybe if I put your crooked name on it, a crooked publishing house will take it, and then all the crooked media will put you on TV and will sell a lot of books and make a lot of money and buy a house at Deep Creek Lake and a boat because, just amazing stuff. You guys, the news media. All right, so let's get to an actual reporter, Megyn Kelly, who had Jake Tapper on because he wanted to risk it to sell more books written by someone else, and that's okay with him. They think LaMonica MacGyver is doing a great job and standing up for something, for the civil rights of gang members and murderers. Here's Megyn Kelly with Jake Tapper yesterday, asking him, say, hey, you're so crooked. You attacked Laura Trump for telling the truth in 2020.
Do you want to apologize to Laura Trump now?
Listen to this.
I've already apologized to her. I called her months ago.
He called her.
And what did she say?
I mean, I don't want to disclose the
it's a
contents
secret.
of a private conversation, but I thought the conversation went well. And
it's not a confidential source.
She has said this publicly, so I feel fine sharing it. She said that she would never mock anybody's stutter. But
anybody's stutter.
After we did
said
the
that
research
in the interview.
for this book, and I realized how bad his acuity issues were.
He realized. Only with the book.
I called Laura Trump and I said you were right.
She was totally right.
Not on TV. He did it in a private, secret conversation that never became public. Oh, yeah, I apologized to her. How completely useless. Your whole function on the planet is you're a bad, crooked Democrat Party frontman with a cable television show for which the Democrat Party pays you millions of dollars through their corporate shills at Time Warner and CNN. And so you kept it a secret that you apologized, that you confessed, that you admitted to being completely wrong about all of that? Is that what happened? So why would you apologize and not go on television and say, I was? What does it matter that you apologized in secret to her? Oh, I did. It was a confidential conversation that I never made public, that I revealed that I was a lying Sacagawea and that I was wrong about everything and she was right about everything. And you didn't go on television and say that, which makes you a useless sack. What kind of sack? A Sacagawea. That's what kind. Are there other kinds of useless sacks? There are. But on the radio, he's a useless Sacagawea. Isn't that amazing? Hey, if you've had just about enough of the big wireless scam and runaround, it is now time to switch to consumer cellular. I got my consumer cellular phone in the mail. Got it up and running about a week ago. It is a beauty. It's a humdinger. It works like a champ. It is just great. And I'm representing them. They sent me, I got it as a gift. The most beautiful phone you've ever seen. Takes the greatest pictures. You're going to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage that you get from the big wireless people without the cost and the scam of the big wireless prices and without the megacorp shenanigans they're so famous for. Where they force you into a crazy plan for tons of money that you don't need with all that unlimited data. Consumer cellular isn't one of these, it's not a prepaid option. You pick a plan, you know exactly what your bill's going to be at the end of every month. No surprises, and it's very easy to switch to. All you have to do is call, and you speak to an actual human being, not a computer, based right here in the United States, not in a galaxy far, far away. And they make switching your plan fast. They make switching your plan easy. And now you can get your second month free because we're friends. And you use the special promo code CHRIS. That's me, CHRIS. Taxes and third-party fees will apply. So check out consumercellular.com/CHRIS for more information, or call them the old-fashioned way at 800-760-0702. Yes, sir. Yeah, when do you hear this? I got more Jake Tapper cornered by a truth teller, Megyn Kelly. That's coming up.
I would fact check that true.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Wait, Jasmine Crockett from Texas, the Democrat lunatic congressman from Texas. Is that true, or are you making that up? She's jumping in, saying that she wants to take the congressional seat of Democrat Jerry Connolly of Virginia, who we learned this morning died of cancer at the age of 75, Congressman Jerry Connolly. And Jasmine Crockett from Texas wants that seat. Why is that a shorter commute to Washington? Why would she be in line for a congressional seat in Virginia? Nobody knows, but the Democrat Party is kind of crazy. All right, let's grab a phone call, Michael. Let's go to, I've got more of Megyn Kelly and Jake Tapper, Lion Sacagawea coming up. Right now, let's go to Seamus, calling from Woodbridge, Virginia. Seamus, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
I've been paying attention to what's been going on in the House with the big, beautiful bill.
Mm-hmm.
And I would attribute it to a balloon with two openings. On one opening, they're cutting taxes. And on the other opening, they're spending it twice as fast as they're putting it into the balloon.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't get these people out of office and get a handle on this stuff, we're going to lose our country. We're already $36 trillion in debt. And I would plead to all your great audience, and we've had some great calls this morning, to call your representatives, give them the heat, as I did this morning, and tell them to get off their butts and cut, because they're doing the usual Republican thing, the usual deep state thing, where they're cutting the projected spending and they're not touching the actual amount that they're spending annually.
You're on to them, Seamus. And the decrease in the rate of increase and still adding trillions more to the national debt and not fixing the problem. Little Led Zeppelin. The great Led Zeppelin. Bum, 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 bum. I had a fun going back and forth with one of my brothers yesterday who had been visiting here in Washington, D.C. And we were going back and forth. We were talking about Led Zeppelin, as you might, because why wouldn't you? And everybody loves Led Zeppelin. 20-year-olds love Led Zeppelin. You see, I see teenagers, my best girl, and I said in restaurants, you see like 14-year-olds following along the lyrics of Led Zeppelin songs. It's kind of amazing. But my brother sent me, he was studying up on Led Zeppelin, and there's a new documentary out about Led Zeppelin. Since we're playing a little Led Zeppelin, my brother told me that in the movie Goldfinger, the James Bond movie, the Sean Connery James Bond movie Goldfinger, right? They had, what's her name, Shirley Bassey doing Goldfinger, right, singing the song. And it was a great movie. It's still a great movie to this day. 1964, that movie. So was that 61 years ago? 61 years ago. And Goldfinger came out. Shirley Bassey singing the Goldfinger song. Turns out that two members of Led Zeppelin were doing the music. John Paul Jones and Jimmy Page were on the soundtrack of Shirley Bassey singing the song Goldfinger. And they were, Led Zeppelin was not a thing. These guys, it was kind of pre-Led Zeppelin, but Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones are on the soundtrack for the song Goldfinger, the soundtrack for the movie, which is completely crazy. Just nuts. Isn't it? Yeah, it is. As a pretty good band. Pretty good band. I got to say, and I'm going to get back to, I just wanted to share that because it's and I wasn't planning on sharing it. Michael played the Led Zeppelin. I was not expecting that. And it reminded me of the texts between my brother and myself. And so, yeah, great Led Zeppelin story there. So I wanted to share that. And I haven't even gone to look it up myself, but my brother texted me, and I trust my brother to not make stuff up. So fun little side story. And we're going to get back to Megyn Kelly and Jake Tapper being exposed as a typical fake Washington journalist, Democrat Capitol Hill staffer turned fake journalist. You know, Chunk Todd was a former Democrat Senate campaign staffer before he became a fake journalist. And yeah, David Axelrod in the Obama White House, he was a fake reporter before he became a Democrat White House official. The list goes on and on. I worked with Joe Lockhart at CNN before he left CNN to go work on Democrat campaigns and become the Clinton White House spokesman. The Democrat Party and the news media are, let's just say they're dating. When I say dating, I'll leave it at that. That's that. But I have my mailbag because it's Wednesday and it's mailbag day. And Michael and I were talking about it today. And so let's not wait to the last minute today, which I'm in the bad habit of doing. But I'll get back to lots more news, thanks to the Democrat Party. Now, let me go to the mailbag now. And let me begin with Greg. Greg, with Greg's mailbag question for our Mailbag Wednesday. And Greg says, is there, as I laughed out loud when I read this morning, is there a soundproof room nearby your studio where you go between segments and scream the George Carlin 7 words you can't say on the radio after dealing with some callers? God knows I scream them for you, he says. And I've got to say, it's pretty funny. I've been known to use colorful language when I'm not on the radio, and language that, like the some of the 7 words, George Carlin. Although I don't curse nearly as much as I used to. I curse a lot less than I used to. And I think I can credit radio for some of that. But, Greg, the truth is I'm surrounded by soundproof rooms. There's a sound. I'm pointing. Jasmine is in a soundproof room to my left through a giant window. And John is through a giant pane of glass over here in another soundproof room. If I walk across the hall in any direction, there are soundproof rooms all over the place. There are studios. Jasmine is screaming. She's screaming at the top of her lungs through that big piece of glass in the soundproof room. And we couldn't hear it unless she pushes the right button, and then we could hear. But there are soundproof rooms everywhere. And the truth is, Greg, I'm incredibly calm. I'm kind of amazingly calm. I'm calm all the time, almost all the time. And I don't, I shouldn't say this out loud, but I've been doing radio for almost 20 years now, and I have never cursed. I have never cursed while the microphone is on in studio or anything. And the truth is, no, I love when left-wing callers, they don't call in as frequently as they used to, because I think they're all having mental breakdowns and considering what gender they are, and they don't call in to argue as much as they do. I get an occasional lib, and I'm happy when libs call in. We still Mike the lib. Mike the lib has gone MIA. He might be in a jail in El Salvador or something. He might be in Yemen. He might have joined the Houthis, as a lot of Democrats apparently have done. But truthfully, Greg, I don't pound the table. I don't yell. I'm not angry. When I leave, and this has always been true since I started doing radio, when I leave after 3 hours, I'm more calm than I was when I came in. I'm more calm than I was when I woke up in the morning. It's calming for me. I get to vent and tell the truth, unfiltered, and it's a wonderful thing. And I really don't scream and yell, and I don't curse about any of it, because this is the greatest format that media has ever created, and I find it, I don't want to say very therapeutic, but it wouldn't be wrong to say that I find it very therapeutic, because I get to vent, I get to get everything out.
Remain calm. All is well. All is well.
See, and and with Michael Pierce, he can drop in a soundbite from the end of Animal House with Kevin Bacon being run over by the crowd after the Deathmobile terrorized everyone at the parade. But God knows I scream them for you, says Greg. I thank you for that. I appreciate that, Greg, and I understand that completely. I do. I know plenty of people that do the same. I do, but not me. Not me. I'm Mr. Calm. I'm the very picture, the model of calm, which people I went to high school with might laugh out loud about. But look at me now. Debbie says, thank you, Greg. Debbie's question from the mailbag. I'm concerned that the American people aren't getting answers to so many issues. Boy, is that true. That's understatement. Such as the drone invasion last year. Remember all the drones over New Jersey and New York area? And Debbie, you're absolutely right. Where's the explanation to that? And where's the explanation to, again, FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino were being interviewed days ago, and the interviewer asked, did Jeffrey Epstein kill himself? And they both kind of laughed and said, yes, Jeffrey Epstein killed himself. And I've got to say, I find that answer to be entirely unsatisfying. Entirely unsatisfying. And the interviewer should have said, well, wait a minute, because about half the country doesn't believe what you just said, and your credibility is on the line. You were given power. And, where's the pipe bomber, DNC and RNC pipe bomber? Where's that? And where's the accountability for it? But there are so many things. Debbie asked, the American people aren't getting the answers to so many issues like the drone invasion last year, 100% true. The assassination attempts on Trump, absolutely true. And whose cocaine was left in the White House? Yeah, there are no cameras there. There are no cameras. And the Biden people we know lied to us. When are we going to get the truth? Do you have any idea why there is no explanation? Boy, that could be a 3-day show. That could be a 3-day-long show. Biden, the Democrats, the permanent bureaucracy, the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN. But now Trump is in charge, and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. And Dan talked a lot about it. And I know Dan and always like Dan. And Dan started his radio career a few feet from where I'm sitting right now in this studio, on this floor, in this building in Washington, D.C. And I haven't seen Dan in a while, and not since he went to the FBI. But, we need the answers to these questions. And now that the good guys are in charge, we need a lot more answers, and we need them now. And we don't need kind of laughing off to Jeffrey Epstein kill himself. Where are the videos? Where's the... why did he have the bed sheets to hang himself? He was supposed to be on suicide watch. The guards were gone. And all of it was just kind of, ha, ha, ha. They laughed it off. And let's set that aside. Where's the Jeffrey Epstein lists from the airplane, from the island, the phones, where they were talking about sexually abusing children in a ritualistic way over the course of years, and big, powerful names involved all over the place. And we still haven't gotten that. And, the disappointments that come from Washington, D.C. and our federal government continue to reverberate. And, Debbie, you're absolutely right to be raising an eyebrow about this. And I raise an eyebrow about it. And there are so many things every day. It's the daily tsunami of lunacy. And I know that that's what Kash Patel's dealing with, and Dan Bongino's dealing with, what Donald Trump is dealing with, what the White House is dealing with, White House press secretary, wonderful as she is, Caroline Leavitt dealing with every day, and on and on. But I want to pound the table a little. We need answers, and it'd be nice to get some answers like every day. How about that? The botched job in Afghanistan, and the list is long. And you're right about the dipstick in Butler, Pennsylvania, that shot President Trump through the ear, and how that happened. And the one shot, one kill counter sniper Secret Service killed that lunatic. And and all that. So, yeah, we need answers. And the loon in Florida that is in custody. And these stories just fall by the wayside. You know, when Steve Scalise was shot and nearly killed by the Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer, James Hodgkinson, another suicide attack, by the way. And, you know, and we got about nothing from that. That was in the news media, one-day story, the most corrupt institution in America. But, Debbie, you're 100% right, and I'm going to redouble. I always like that, to redouble. Were you going to read, what were you, only one doubling before? You were just now, you're going to redouble? Well, you're absolutely right, Debbie. And it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating for me. RS tweets too. Thank you, Debbie. In the mailbag today, what news will Jake Tapper report in 5 years that he'll claim is a complete surprise, even though it's obvious to everyone today? Well, that's a good question, because there will be more, no doubt. There will be more. And our phony news media, our corrupt news media. Look, Jake Tapper, he's still involved in a cover-up. Make no mistake, he's not confessing to anything or admitting anything. He's still, this is a rolling cover-up. It's a cover-up of the cover-up, as I believe we called it on my Newsmax show last night at 10 p.m. Eastern, The Right Squad. And it's a cover-up of the cover-up that is ongoing right now. And Jake Tapper is very much involved in that. And the guy that actually wrote the book, that guy Alex Thompson, who actually wrote the book, which Jake Tapper didn't write. He's just pimping it now. Isn't that amazing? But, yeah, I can't say what report, 5 years from now that'll claim as a complete surprise. But you just have to crack the code and know that they're lying, and then they lie about their lies. And I've been talking about this for years. I've been saying they lie to us, and then they lie to us about lying to us about their lies. And it's amazing. And I've said for years, if you're married to one of them, or if your sister is married to them, one of them, know that they're lying to them and that they're cheating on them, because they're liars and they're cheats. Perfectly normal. As I was talking about the White House press plane traveling with the President of the United States, and the old, the old saying on the White House press plane, wheels up, rings off. Wheels up, rings off. Because lie, cheat, steal, perfectly normal. It's been made normal. They're the left. They think they're liberals, but they're really not. And then our last mailbag question today from Chris. Chris and Ellie actually mailed it in by U.S. mail. I love that. Chris in Alexandria, Virginia. Do you ever worry that the public figures whom you ridicule might be listening to your program? And no, I really don't. I hope they're listening to my program. But do you ever worry that the public figures whom you ridicule might be listening to your radio program? And has this led to any awkward moments when you cross paths with them in a social setting? And I've got to say, I don't worry about it. I just tell the truth. And if they don't like it, that's too darn bad. I'll keep it clean. That's too bad. And I do encounter people in public from time to time. And let me tell you this, Chris. I don't care. I just don't care. I haven't been shot and killed yet, so anything short of that, I just don't care. I'm not worried about that. So there it is. Yes, sir. You are. But you're on the side. It's a fun question. I like the question. You ever worry public figures you ridicule might be listening? I assume they are. And any awkward moments, I don't care. That's too bad for them, and I just don't care, because I know that I'm telling the truth. So if they don't like the truth being told about them, that's too bad. Maybe they should behave differently or find a different line of work, and that's all I care about. Thank you, Chris, and that's our mailbag today on Mailbag Wednesday. That was fun. I like that. You know that when a mother with an unplanned pregnancy is deciding what to do about her future and the future of her unborn child, it can be overwhelming. She, of course, wants to make the right choice, but we live in a society, and sometimes those people around her are telling her that her baby is not actually a human being or human life. Well, Preborn's entire ministry is all about loving these women, these pregnant women with child, and empowering these women with the choice of life. And it can be an eternal moment for them. Now, Briella, a young woman ready to take an abortion pill when she found she was pregnant to end her pregnancy, but the pill didn't come as expected. She decided instead to go to a preborn clinic. And after receiving a free ultrasound from preborn, her eternal moment happened. Not only did her unborn baby wave at her and show a heartbeat, but then she realized that the baby was a boy that she remembered, hey, I've always wanted a boy. So she had the boy. Now, if you have the means, maybe you could consider a leadership gift to preborn to save babies in a big way. Your tax-deductible donation of $5,000 American dollars will sponsor preborn's entire network for 24 hours, a full day, helping to rescue up to 200 unborn babies. Not so bad. To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250, and when prompted, you say the keyword baby. That's, you dial pound 250, and when prompted, you say the keyword baby. Or you can donate securely online at preborn.com/plant. That's preborn.com/PLANTE. Preborn has done 100% charity rating, 100% charity rating, so you can give with confidence. Yes, sir. Yeah, the mailbag. I like the mailbag. We should do the mailbag more often. We talk to people in real time, too. It's call-in. This is not like CNN or something where they completely ignore their dwindling number of viewers.
Did I hear you correctly say that perhaps he was influenced by Gurgle and the Third Reich in terms of telling a big lie? I just want to make sure that's what I heard you say.
That's right.
Absolutely nuts. Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin playing the original, the movie version, 1964 of the song Goldfinger. They played it out, studio musicians, and then Shirley Bassey came in and sang the song. And according to Jimmy Page, Shirley Bassey came into the studio, did it in one take. One take, did the Goldfinger song in one take, held that long note at the end, and fell to the ground, collapsed, ran out of breath. Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones standing there saying, I wonder if we've got a future in music.